Hey guys, welcome back to Say Mojo Homestead. We have had a super busy but productive and exciting weekend. This is Jeremy and I'm Cass, and we just want to welcome you to our channel. If you're new here, if you are part of our YouTube family, we just thank you for coming back. And if you haven't joined our YouTube family, we'd love for you to join us on this crazy homestead journey. You can do that just by subscribing. We also would love for you to comment or ask questions. If you see anything in this video that you have questions about or you've experienced, you've done, we'd love for you to share that with us as well.
Yeah, definitely. So today we wanted to talk about something that we feel is very important moving forward, just in the world. This isn't like to create fear or anxiety or anything like that, but just something to maybe throw out there to consider.
We feel like self-sufficiency might look a little different moving forward, and that it will be necessary to have a good, strong community around you.
Yeah, so we just want to talk about kind of ways that we're doing that, and things that have kind of just fallen into place for us while we go through our chores. So we are clearing out the garden still and getting some stuff in for winter. So we're going to bring you guys along for that and talk a little bit about this topic.
Right now, we are going to take up all the stakes in this section, all the T-posts in this section, and we're actually going to move this landscape fabric back and expose our dirt underneath, and we are actually going to work on amending the soil. This landscaping fabric has been down for 3 years?
2 years.
For 2 years now, and we've kind of just been amending the holes. But you know, if you've been following us, you know we had the rabbit manure debacle, and we're going to do some weeding, and then we're going to lay some really awesome compost that we got from a friend of ours. He's another local homesteader, and he had some extra compost. There's always something that you can share with someone else. They often have something that they can share with you.
Got all the weed cloth rolled back just for this area. We're not doing the whole garden yet, but now we have our dirt exposed. The dirt actually still looks pretty decent. We did a video a couple weeks ago about just soil health. I wanted to show you guys, we talked about the structure of it if you are not familiar. So this is just kind of a handful that I just pulled out. What you really want is it to hold together like that, but not be so tight that you can't just break it right back up. That's a good test for moisture level, and also, like I said, just soil structure. So while this is good, we haven't done a test on it. My philosophy is it's never gonna hurt to throw a little bit more nutrients in there. So I may be wrong on that, but we're gonna get started with moving that compost into this area.
So I don't know if you've noticed or if you can tell, but our garden actually slants. So we orient our rows so that when it rains or when we have lots of water, it actually dams up at the rows and doesn't run through them or mess them up. And it helps kind of maintain our soil where it's at.
So while Cass and Joe are starting to plant our cabbage and probably do kale over there as well, I think that we were going to try to also do some cauliflower from seed, maybe a couple cabbage seeds. I feel like there was something else that she suggested, but I don't remember what it was. So anyway, one thing with moving the weed cloth and going back to just the bare ground is it allows us to plant them a little bit closer. The weed cloth, we burned holes every 2 feet just because that was kind of a generic spacing for most garden plants, but for those things that could be planted a little bit closer, we weren't able to do that with that. So that's one thing we're gonna really take advantage of in that space this fall and winter. Another thing that is a benefit when you have those connections and really take advantage of having community are just your generic homestead resources. All of this wood, check this out, guys. That is about, I counted it and I don't remember. I think it's like 26, 27 decking boards that are each about 13 feet wide. Sorry, 13 feet long. And then there's a couple of 2x4s in there. There's a couple of 2x6s, I think a 2x8. Got big plans for these. So I took advantage of not really having a lot of work, helped one of my friends who does fence and deck building, and we tore apart a deck. Now, most of those deck boards were still in fairly good shape. I mean, for a deck, they need to be pulled up. But for what I'm using them for, they are good. We also got some steps, which are gonna be used for our shed. What I have planned for all the decking boards is we are building birthing stalls for our goats this year. Because we do want to have a place where we can just put them in, like a holding place where they can give birth there. We're also going to try to do dam raised, which means we need to be able to lock them up with their babies and lock the babies up when we start weaning them off. So that was one thing that I was like in the back of my mind, you know, starting to kind of think about financially, starting to save for that, put money away for that. But this is going to be the bulk of the wood that we need for that. So that is a major plus. So it just really does pay off to have those connections, to make sure you are building as many bridges, as they say, as you can, because you never know where or when resources that you need may pop up. We really do feel like it's going to be more and more important to have these community connections where it allows you to be more self-sustainable. So always keep your eyes out. Always be thinking ahead of what you may need, kind of keeping a project list or supply list in the back of your head, because you just never know when those things are going to pop up.
So another really fun and exciting way that community has, or that I've been surprised by community in homesteading, is through seed swapping. Now, this is a very traditional thing. It's not anything new, but we've had the opportunity very recently to get heirloom seeds. I've been introduced to new seeds and new crops that date back to some of the original foods that were produced in the South during the beginning of America being colonized, or that came over with slaves. So it's been really neat to get access to these plants and these seeds. And that's something I really don't think I would have ever had the opportunity to do had I not been involved in a homesteading community. So we got so much done, which to me is always super exciting.
So going into a little bit more detail about what we're talking about, you know, in the past, I feel like self-sustainability or self-sufficiency kind of had this mindset of, you know, do as much as you can on your property to provide for you and your family or whatever else, and really like not having to rely on the grid, not having to rely on just grocery stores or really others.
Yeah.
Moving forward though, I feel like that has to be redefined, and in order to be self-sufficient, you're gonna have to rely on community.
Yeah.
And whatever community looks like. Now, you guys, if you've been with us, you know community's big to us. We're big on community for several different reasons, but this is one of those reasons why we are, and why we feel like it's important, and why we put forth so much energy into trying to establish relationship and build community around us, not just for us, but for others as well. Yeah. You saw a couple of examples in these clips, but it is, I think, easier to be self-sustainable 100% when you kind of partner with other people.
For sure. So the reality is, I don't know how to do everything. We don't have all the land to do everything that a self-sufficient person might do, and we don't have the skill set for all of it. So in developing these relationships and developing a community, I can bring what I have to the table and offer it to those around me in my community, and they can do the same for me. For example, we went and had dinner with some friends. They have goats, but they aren't in milk, so they asked us if they could swap us some milk for some venison.
The good old bartering system.
Yeah, we don't hunt currently, so we don't have access to venison, but we can certainly barter with what we do have. And I think that that is kind of along the lines of what we're thinking homesteading needs to look like and will look like moving forward, because people do have different strengths and weaknesses and different things that they can bring to the table, experience, knowledge, and just resources. So I think it's going to be super important.
Yeah, the other reason is because it's cheaper. Like, you're not having to finance everything that goes into a full-on homestead. And I don't have to tell you, things aren't getting cheaper.
Right?
You know? But, you know, if somebody has a tractor and can manage a lot more of garden space, then they can probably grow more than someone who doesn't. Or, you know, someone who has more land could pasture cows. Whereas someone who doesn't, like us, like we can't pasture a cow out here currently with the way we have it set up. We would rely on someone else to do that. So there's just a lot of different ways that community can be very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, looking at it beyond that and kind of getting outside a tight friend circle, if you will, but just small communities like small towns or whatever, I think that when this all works and cooperates, it benefits everyone because not everyone has the skill set to homestead.
Right.
You know,
right.
But they may be able to provide another service.
Right.
So definitely, again, we feel like moving forward in the next several years, whatever it may be, this is just going to get more and more important.
Right.
To a point where, you know, if you want to continue to just provide and have good, healthy food and know that you are secure in the basics of life, this is going to be probably an essential thing moving forward. I do feel like to some degree this will be necessary.
Yeah, I agree. So it's the weekend. Woo! Time for highs and lows.
Yes, it is. You're going first. I went first last week.
Fine.
Ha.
Okay, so my high. We have our fall garden started.
Yes.
And I love the brassicas, so I'm super excited.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this today. I think that fall gardening might be my favorite time to garden.
Yeah.
Like what you grow, all that stuff.
It's cooler, so there's that. But also you get
Pest
broccoli.
load is lower.
Yeah, and you get broccoli. So
Carrots.
I love broccoli and carrots.
Kale.
And kale. I love me a kale salad with carrots and broccoli. So
Yes.
So fall gardening's where it's at.
Yeah.
I love it. And my low is definitely a work debacle that happened this week. That was terrible. I'm in a new position-ish. I just have some different responsibilities this year.
Yeah.
And things did not go great last week in a couple areas. Had some bad days. But that's okay, because I'm learning. And I have a very gracious boss, so that helps.
It does, it does.
I've done some things, put some things into place so it won't happen again. No, gotta
Things are getting better.
Move forward.
Things are getting better.
Yep.
So, I think my high was, I've got two. I'm going to say two. We went and had dinner the other night with some friends of ours, Charlie and Lisa, over at Homesteading in Hungary.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun. Speaking of building community.
Yes.
And it was just fun getting to hang out with them again. The kids went with us this time, so they had fun kind of seeing all the things over there, their cow and stuff like that.
And they're fun chickens.
They're fun chickens.
They have better chickens than us, evidently.
I guess so. My other high was work is picking back up.
Yay!
I'm actually booked out like the normal way, so that's good. That's good. Yes, definitely takes a load of stress off for sure. So my low would be that we lost a good half or more of our beans.
Yeah.
Like harvest, not the plants.
No.
The plant's pretty much done. So we experimented this year. We're trying to find different ways to preserve that don't just rely on canning, just because jars take up a lot of space.
Yes, and we don't have a lot of that.
Right. So our green beans this year, we are experimenting with what's called leather britches. You basically string them up and dry them. Well, several of them molded. So
we put them in a bad place. I think it had more humidity there.
We're experimenting.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into next year much better prepared to do that.
Yes.
So yeah.
I still like it.
Definitely, yes, yeah, definitely still a fan
yeah.
of that preservation method. Just learning where in our house works best. So, yeah. Anyway, we know now. So, speaking of learning curves, next year we will definitely be better prepared.
Yes.
So, but that's all we have for you this week. Thank you guys for joining us. We really do appreciate each and every one of you who have followed along, who are just jumping in and following along. Thank you so much. If you know anybody that might like this material or any videos that like we talk about something that someone may be interested in, feel free to share it. We would appreciate that.
Yeah.
So hope you guys have a great week. Fall is coming in. Hopefully the fall temps are coming with it.
Yes.
Where you are and where we are. So anyway, until next time guys, have a great week. Be blessed.